Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 40K Fireside podcast. I'm David Gaylard, and I'm joined by my good friend Vijay. Together, we discuss 40K and the meta from our perspective, along with events we've recently been to and those that have got coming up. So come on down to the fireside and listen. Alrighty, welcome back to the episode 37 of 40K Fireside podcast. Man, I've just come out of playing a game of Warhammer, so I'm a bit fried, but super excited for this episode. And I'm going to start off with the following. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my absolute pleasure, and shared glory for all of our team to introduce to you the 2013 London Grand Tournament champion, Liam VSL. Liam, it's fantastic to finally have you on the podcast. Are you still riding the high from the weekend?
Yeah. I mean, it was 2023, if I correct. I think I was like 10 years old.
We're going to cover a bunch of things this episode, but we kind of want to focus more on Liam's run and Vic's run. They got a bit deeper than mine, spoiler alert. So without further ado, should we do a little bit of a 10 out of 10, how we thought the tournament was ran, how the mission pack was, the balance and all that stuff? I'm going to give it a solid 7.8 out of 10. How about yourself, Vic?
7.8, that's a very peculiar number there, Dave. And actually, you know what? I think I'm going to go a little bit higher than that. LGT has been running for a number of years now, and I've seen continuous improvements over time. I remember when they first expanded to 800 people, and we were queuing for almost an hour, the entire lunch break, just to get food. And now we have 7-8 food trucks outside, and it's just so well organized. I'm going to give LGT for the entire thing a solid 9.5. I think it's up there with the best events run in the world. What about you, Liam? What do you think?
Yeah, that event was awesome. I think it's difficult to say. I would say like maybe 8.5 only, to have like maybe left a little bit some room to improvement, I guess. I mean, we could do better, right? Maybe, I don't know. But like overall, everything was so fucking good. Like the food on the outside was quite okay, though the flight was not the best from a perspective. So were the beer. So I think that's where the improvement could be made. But overall, like the organization and everything was awesome. Like the place where we were playing, we had not a lot of space because obviously like 1,000 people were in it, but it was quite all right. I was expecting less than that, and it was quite there. So yeah, everything was there. And
Lovely.
Everyone was lovely and stuff. That was cool to like, just walk during the game and discuss with people. That was awesome.
Yeah, nice. What I was going to say is the beer and chips and fries were definitely better in Belgium. So Liam being a fellow Belgian, that's where that comes from.
Dave, can I jump in for a second?
Mm.
Because the interesting thing is we get guests on this show who are quite, well known in the community, whether that's the American or the UK meta. And Liam is one of those people where he's like a secret place in London where there's really like, it's a really awesome place, but not many people know about it. And I feel Liam kind of fits into that category because for people who know Liam, they know that he's an incredibly good player. But a lot of people haven't heard about him. So am I okay just do a little introduction on Liam a little bit?
Go for it. Go hard.
Yeah. All right. So Liam is a WTC Team Belgium player who has kind of really is their superstar player along with a few of their other great players as well. But he's well known for his WTC Belgium stuff. But importantly, he's also a member of Team Ignite. And he's one of the first members we kind of brought in from outside of the UK. And I think he has been an incredible addition to our team, kind of very open with sharing his knowledge. A lot of people online know him because he plays on Discord fervently. And overall, he's just an absolutely lovely guy. I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about him. And it's a pleasure for people to know you a little bit more because of this tournament win, Liam.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Perfect. Yes. I think a great many people, including myself and Vic, have been crushed by Liam. Absolutely crushed in the most nonchalant. Doesn't look like he really cares about it. mana.
So
Game,
what's
it doesn't matter, right?
it's just a game.
That's a good attitude. That's a
Yeah,
very good
of course
attitude.
it is.
Fantastic. Liam and I actually had the pleasure of pairing against each other in WTC, actually, which was really nice. But obviously, Liam was our teammate before then as well. And the Belgian team did really well at the WTC recently as well. Wasn't that right, Liam?
Yeah, we did, I think, the best result ever for our team, so that was cool.
Nice. Nice. All right. Without further ado, let's do some LGT recap, huh?
Yeah.
I'll be quick on mine. Went 4-1 with guard. Liked the list quite a bit, but I think I'd probably make some changes. I'd probably, if I wanted to really play the competitive edge of it, I'd probably take out the Rogue Dawn, take out the Eradicator, probably add 2 Manticores. I would add maybe the Infantry Squad plus Creed combo, maybe. And then I would probably add some Kassakin in there as well, just because the Melter Mine is quite good. Grenade strat, jump out from the transform, and you can resurrect with for reinforcements. Played a really close game, lost by 2 points to Alex Jins. He was playing the two Repulsor Executioners, like 5 Dreadnoughts, Aggressors, Land Raider. It all came all the way down to the wire. All of my games went like 3 hours. The guard shooting was okay. Oftentimes I found it really inconsistent. It didn't really feel like I was shooting with 2,000 points. Sometimes it felt like I was shooting with like 800 points. You would just shoot a tank commander and you'd be like, yeah, heading on 4s here, mate. And nothing would hit. I'd probably swap some to go demo, at least one with the demo cannon, probably. But it's difficult to say that because of obviously the run. You can't just look at your run and say, oh, I should change this and it would have been better. You got to think about the meta as a whole. I didn't really get to play any like bang-on meta lists in terms of Necrons, Tau, CSM, or like a top Aeldari list. So a little bit of a disappointing run in terms of not being able to play into the top meta parts for me. But look, I had Blast playing guard. I think I won best guard overall or something like that. So yeah, it was a good time. Probably give them a few more games just to see how much they can go, but maybe focusing on taking a bit more of a serious high-end army for World Champs. Yeah.
Pretty damn cool, and I think a lot of people were very interested in following your progress with the guard here, Dave. Liam, I don't know if you have any comments on how guards sit in the singles meta, because I'm sure people will be interested in this segment for that.
So for guards, I know them a lot because of team format, but in single it's a little bit different. I know in team, like, you look a lot at the indirect lists, especially for team like us in Team Belgium, where we have like a spread out, level part. You can like use the guard indirect to more like use like a stat check on an army. So, but in single, I guess there is like big counter, like, and it's often come from like not the top dog, like there is like demon, or like there is weird build that could like with a lot of loan up or stuff that could like be annoying for guard, I guess. I'm talking about the indirect guard, obviously, but your list was quite new, I want to say, like, right? You were not using a lot of
Yeah.
indirect, so I don't know if like it was the good approach. I'm a lot more scared of like indirect because I cannot do I can do nothing about it. But
Yeah.
it
I would say, like, I would completely agree with you, actually. And I found that actually that sadly, the best pieces were the indirect pieces because you could evaluate them consistently that they would shoot for 5 turns. And when you can do that with an indirect piece, despite it going up in points, it's still really good. That's probably enough on guard. Let's run over to Vic, your run with Eldar. And I'm going to go take a delivery, so I'll be right back.
Of course. All right. So okay. So me and Liam, we both play Aeldari, so we can chat about this nicely. There was an Aeldari list that we came up with in Team Ignite. So 3 of us brought a similar list: me, Yokel, and Brian. And we basically built it around 3 Night Spinner units and then 3 kind of infantry units. Me and Brian had 2 units of Warp Spiders and a unit of Shadow Spectres. Yokel just went full ham with 3 units of Warp Spiders. And this kind of MSU with indirect fire list was quite good at playing kind of fixed missions and providing a lot of passive scoring while providing a bit of passive damage as well. The list proved to be really good in testing, so we kind of brought it to the tournament. All 3 of us had a really good run with it. Unfortunately, I ended up hitting the mirror match against both Brian and Yokel during the tournament. So I ended up having to play that. And unfortunately, sometimes with these mirrors, if you have quite a lot of indirect fire, there's a massive advantage to going first. And I was able to go first in both of those games. So those ended up kind of being wins to me, not necessarily because of my skill, but mostly just because I rolled to go first. I ended up kind of running through to 6-0 across the tournament until eventually I hit the beautiful Liam VSL in the quarterfinals. Before I get into that game, because I kind of want to incorporate that game into your section, Liam. I just wanted to chat a little bit about Aeldari and where they sit in the meta.
For sure.
Um, in terms of your thoughts, Liam, how do you think do you think the kind of list design that we went for is the correct or optimal one? Is there even a correct or optimal Aeldari list design for
I
singles?
think it's really difficult to say actually because like the codex is still really deep. There is still
Mm-hmm.
some proof, but obviously I think it's like the safest way to go, I would say. Like 3 nights. I mean, I would put in that category like the difference between 2 or 3 night spinner is something, but I would say like between 3 night spinner and less chaff or 2 night spinner and more chaff, it's really similar in the end actually because like the chaff do a lot, like 3 squad of spider plus like imagine like 10 hawks or like a character more like that do a lot too. But I would say like those lists are really good. Uh, I think they're actually probably on top of the meta still, in single at least.
Yeah, one interesting thing I found was that there were like a few lists that I was really not keen to go into. I mean, Necrons is playable, but then we had Manny Chima running all the way through the tournament with this accursed cultist spam. And interestingly, Manny did end up losing against an Aeldari list, which is extremely similar to what we were all running, which was run by Hugo, your teammate, WTC Belgium Hugo. And it was pretty awesome to see him take apart that accursed cultist list methodically and efficiently. So you might be right there. I think potentially it is still the strongest faction in the game. Yeah.
I th-
In terms of tweaks, oh yeah, sorry.
yeah. Obviously, I would say that like those Necron lists or those Arcursed cultist lists are maybe a little bit a counter of those, but because
Mhm.
of how the meta work, like those lists tend to lose against some other big dog, like Dark Angel or I mean that doesn't count anymore, I would say, because
True.
with the new codex, but uh, like
Tau,
Tau or stuff, and then
God.
you can beat those one. You can
Mhm.
beat Tau or the counter to those lists. So like it's little bit like rock paper scissors, I guess, but you
Yeah.
still have a play in those lists because you still have like the mobility option to like reach the secondary, reach the primary. Maybe you can like if you do one mistake, you can explode it. So like
Mhm.
it's really like I would say like on in theory maybe they are winning, but like on the board, often you're gonna be able to exploit any mistake they make and win because of that. So
Absolutely.
against Eldar, it's really about that. You can exploit mistake really quickly, and like when you play a tournament, it's not really like playing on TTS on at home or stuff.
Mhm.
At after like 4, 5 round turn game, you're starting to be tired or stuff. So
Mhm.
like in the later turn, being like really well prepared with Eldar could be like really devastating, even if like on the hard matchup because your
Mhm.
opponent is gonna be tired, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And coming back to an earlier point you said about, running a number of night spinners, etc. One thing that I found during list building, and I tried to explain it a little bit online as well in a few Discord servers, because a lot of people have been like, "Oh, is 3 spinners the way? Is 3 spinners the way?" And I actually think when it comes to building Eldari lists, there's not much in it between all the different variations that you can run. You can't have every single tool in an Eldari list anymore. The points don't allow that. So anything you take out, you can gain something else, and you have to make compromises with the strengths and disadvantages between the two different types you choose. So I would say people shouldn't be locked into maybe say copying the list that we ran, because I already have loads of changes that I want to make to the list. And we should all still be pretty open to experimenting and trying to add different tools that are interesting.
Yeah.
I know you had pretty good success with the Harlequins in there in the Eldar.
Yeah, but it's just because of my playstyle. I don't want at all to play Wraith Guard. It's like the big blob of it. I rather play like a full MSU list. So yeah, there is like a lot of testing in that codex. So I did test Harlequin a little bit, but like I did like less than like 5 or 6 game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so it doesn't really matter in the end because like, but yeah, the Harlequin looks sexy to me, and I always have been a Harlequin main. So like being able
Yep.
to play Harlequin always like, I think like it would be, I would go a little bit like, the problem is I want to play mono Harlequin, then I want to put like the Incarn, and when you put the Incarn you want Night Spinner, and in the end you finish with like a almost only sword list. But like I would respect the guys that go full Harlequin. I think like Mike Porter were full Harlequin and went like 5-0 or 6-0 with it. That was like
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And now that you've kind of mentioned your play style and things that you like, you don't want to run the 10 Wraith Guard. I think now is a good time to start talking a little bit about you, Liam. I think your play style is so incredibly unique compared to anyone else I've met in competitive 40K. And I've been playing this game for a fair while now. And, maybe you could just like try and describe the way you think you play. Like, let me describe myself. So I would say I'm a very reactive, passive player. And like, I like to create passive plays in the game where the opponent doesn't interact with me. I think you try and describe yourself and let's see where we
I mean,
end
I guess I would go like the opposite way. Like, I like chaos on the table. Like
up.
you know, like putting, I know, like making every unit important in the game by like rushing your opponent, I guess. So I like put my whole army in the face of my opponent and like let him make the wrong decision, I guess. Or so yeah, something like that. I'm someone really aggressive in most of my game, even though sometimes when it's the correct play, I know to be a little bit defensive, but not for too long. Like when I see an opportunity, I would go for it. Generally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think what I was going to say is, does that mean you kind of like a big, nice, dynamic, open board with a lot of decisions where you think you can kind of thrive? Like I feel like you're very good at micro as well, Liam. So is you like to have the opportunity to play the game in a very like disorderly fashion for both you and your opponent. There's a lot of decisions to make. There's a lot of interactions to potentially have there.
Sorry,
I feel like
No, no problem. What I was going to say is you kind of like a very open, dynamic board in terms of a lot of things
Yeah.
happening, a lot of decisions
Yeah.
to make.
Yeah, exactly. Like when there is stuff happening everywhere on the board, and you know, stuff where I know the stuff that really matter, because sometimes you know there is a big fight happening on the flank, but that doesn't matter actually for the path to victory. But yeah,
yeah, it's
Yeah.
fascinating to see it in action. We'll go through it, but Liam managed to use a unit of 3 Nurglings so impactfully in the game we played. It was perfectly set up for the situation, and I found it really fascinating looking at this unit of Nurglings. Like, I can't deal with that unit of Nurglings. There's too much going on, and I know it's going to score him lots of points in this game if I don't do anything. And it probably would have if we'd carried on with the game beyond the point where you destroyed me. But Liam, can you run us through the list you brought for LGT and kind of the process that you took to come to that list?
okay. So my list for LGT was I was playing Chaos Space Marine with some demon. So the list was basically 3 Chaos Lord, 3 Chosen Blob, one 10-man, 2 5-man that go into Rhino. That was like the core of the list. And then there were like the back line shooting or like deep strike shooting, the shooting threats, which were 1 undivided Force Fiend, 1 Nurgle Force Fiend. And then I had the same with MSU Obliterator, 2-man Nurgle Obliterator and a 2-man Undivided Obliterator. Then I had like all my scoring, I would say, which were my 2 unit of Warp Talon, 2 5-man Slaanesh Warp Talon that were also like the unit that initiate trade, like the first one to go in some matchup and stuff like that. and then I had a 10-man cultist for my backline, and then I had the blue strive, 3 Nurgling, and Sileski for like deep strike scoring and stuff like that, or pre-move infiltration scoring, stuff like that. So
Do you think that this is like the right balance between having, because I looked at a lot of CSM lists and there's a lot of variance between 2 obliterators to 6 obliterators, 1 forge fiend to 3 forge fiend. Do you think 2 forge fiend, 2x2 obliterators was at the end of the day the right pick?
on your kit this year, probably. I mean, I had 10 points left, so I'm like half on like the fact I didn't brought 3 fortune and only 1 oblit. But on the opposite, the oblit opened the no line of sight shooting, which can open a lot of option in a lot of match, and they're also okay in melee and quite resilient. So like I would say it was an okay balance. I did try a lot of balance. So I basically start to play CSM again a month ago, and I start with like a really easy list. It was like 3 Chosen Squad, 3 War Talon, 3 Forge Fiend, 2 Oblit, 2 Oblit. And like after some testing, I was there, yeah, maybe I don't need the 3rd Forge Fiend, and I put more scoring in it. Actually, Vic, that was because of you. You were also testing CSM back in the
Yep,
day,
I was.
and then you showed me that some tech which were Silesk, because like I didn't saw about Silesk in the first time, and yeah, Phoenix Gem guys, I mean, come back up on 2+ until the end of the phase is actually really awesome, and that guys have like good shooting, good melee. I think he was a must-have in my list, even though he didn't matter a lot in my game. Like in the game where it mattered, it was important. So like
Yep.
in a lot of game it didn't matter, but in some matchup it's really important to have it. So yeah.
I think me, you, and Chris, we kind of all converged towards a very similar kind of list design. And you and Chris Radford, you both took it to extremely good success at LGT. Chris also managed to get through 6-0 before losing in the shadow round.
Yeah.
So
We have
very impressive.
we had also convinced the old winner of LGT, right?
Oh yes, Sacco as well.
Sako bring that list too. But I mean he saw me
I
playing
think
it and he liked it. So
I think Chris also just lost on a 5-up rerollable, right?
I mean
Poor Chris.
Yeah, brutal.
he had
So-
an extremely close game against like Nassim, I think, in the shadow round.
Mhm.
That was a shame also to play the shadow round for them, I guess.
Yeah, he got unlucky.
They were super tired, I guess. Like 5 round in a day. Like, phew.
So, Liam, it does sound like you've taken an extremely balanced list here. It's got all of the tools. And because, some of those units are quite efficient, the Chosen Chaos Lord Rhino is very efficient. You've got a lot of stuff in that list. So it seems like it's ticking all the boxes for suiting your playstyle. I don't know if you had any other questions, Dave, anything?
No, I was just going to ask. So, for the listener, what are kind of some of the weak? What's the bad matchup, and what are some of the weak points that you could really target if you're playing against CSM? Really, because it does seem like a list that's just got it all. Really, doesn't it? It's got the untargetable Rhino, which is fantastic for staging. It's got high back end shooting, and it has like dynamic reactive play with deep strike and outflank as well. So, what are the lose conditions for the Armelian?
So the army is really aggressive, and I feel like I want to go on at one point. So I'm gonna like rush you, and like at like I would say I'm not really resilient. I'm only resilient because I'm using lone operative strat, lone operative to be resilient with the Rhino. But I guess if you have like a better trading army than me, like more trade than me, then to force me to go in the middle and trade downside, I find out actually that a list like Sister were not that easy in a tournament. Like I needed to be like really careful when I was rushing the Sister. But overall, beside Eldar, that I still think it's a bad matchup, the rest of the field felt really fine. Actually, even though, where you could think like they shoot me really well, but against Toe I have a secondary advantage so big that like he's gonna feel uncomfortable to let me stay behind Rin, and he's gonna basically extend a little bit more that he should, and that either he's gonna choose between losing a little bit or losing hard, because if he extends too much, he loses a lot in one turn.
Yeah. And Tower obviously basically a monophase army too. So you've got the Celeste there,
Yeah,
gets back
exactly.
up on a 2-up. You can put it on objective. And you got the untargetable Rhino as well, which means they have to come in within a certain range, and then you can still take decent saves against that too. So yeah, the list that's got it all super powerful. All right, Liam, should we maybe go through your run? Now you did say to us before the podcast that you basically didn't have any challenging games before round 8. So
8.
I'm just kidding. But you said your rounds 0 to 5 were pretty cruisy. What was rounds? Should we kick it off from round 6 then?
I mean, yeah, like you think. Yeah, the round 1 to 5 were quite fast because I'm a really aggressive one. So but I mean, I would say it's like often the case. Like I rush and like the guys made one mistake to not respect me enough on that side, and then he ended up with all my army in his face, and that's like kind of the end often. But
Game
yeah,
was round 6 like that as well against the Grey Knights.
against the Grey Knights, I didn't really. The fact is, Grey Knight doesn't do a lot of damage. They are really tricksy, but they don't do a lot of damage. And what happened is that we were playing on that 6 objective mission in Hammer and Anvil, where I was just really like it was just easy to take fixed secondary on that one. I just took like Homer and Cleanse and like move all my shit in the middle where there were like 4 objectives within like 10 inches of each other, and let him like do his live on the corner if he wanna, and then like just won by he had to make the play to like go deny me primary, so he give me resource, and I don't struggle to kill him at all. It's just a question of like can I catch him, and like putting like he had only one big blob of Terminator or Paladin, sorry, and I had like put my Forschwin in reserve, and I was just waiting for the big blob of Paladin to show off to like put my Forschwin next to him and say bye bye the Terminator, because on average that guys kill like 6 to 8 or something. The undivided Forschwin, the undivided Forschwin is often like a big play of my strategy, just going reserve strat and like worry my opponent about him coming and like killing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think I saw that exact part play out a lot. You can have the two obliterators, 2x2 obliterators, and the undivided Forge Fiend, where 2 coming from deep strike and this 3rd comes from outflank. Give you a really big boost on turn 2, where if you also stage your army on turn 1, you can come in for a super big collapse on turn 2, which I take it as how basically your 1's round to 7 went in the most artful of Liam crushing people way. But I was going to say, let's maybe round 8, because that was that was when things got really spicy. Now, Vic, you had previously been knocking out all of our teammates all weekend. Do you want to do a quick recap of maybe your games against Yokel and Brian?
Sure.
Or...
I did a little bit while you were away,
Okay.
and it's kind of brief because we have identical armies, but yeah, I essentially just highlighted the turn 1 advantage on those. Because player skill pretty much equal between the 3 of us. And talking about player skill, I think going into this round 8, which is the quarterfinals, I got paired into Liam with a CSM list that I'd been practicing myself, so I kind of knew quite well. And I played against Aeldari using the CSM quite a bit. Now, one thing I hadn't done was play against Liam. So I hadn't practiced against Liam prior to the event. And I went into it with, there was this little bit of confidence there. I was like, I've got the better list here. I have the advantage. And then in the back of my head, you've got to be humble as well. There are players that are better than me in the world that I'm bound to play against. And I rank Liam amongst those, where I do not have the player skill advantage. And often player skill has been the thing which I've kind of fallen back on to help me out of bad matchups. Now I'm on the opposite side. I have the player skill disadvantage, but I have the list advantage. And this was an extremely humbling experience for me to play against Liam in actual real life rather than just TTS. And maybe I'll pass it over to Liam to actually give us his report of the game and his strategy and how he kind of went into it.
So it's funny because before the game I was there, oh fuck, that's basic, like I was basically really worried about the Eldar matchup, and like I wanted to face maybe someone else than knew Vic at first Eldar matchup, because I was there, oh fuck, no, what do I need to do, because it's gonna be awful, because like I still before before the game, it felt like a worse matchup that it's actually, I think. But I think it's still bad, but maybe less bad than that. Also because it's interesting to mention, but in the early round of LGT, we had Sako versus Brian that was happening. That was basically exact same matchup, and it did end up in like 15 minutes because Sako got crushed a lot. So that was I was there. Fuck that. Make that not happening to me again. So like I was really worried. Hopefully I did go first, which was like a big help actually because when the strike come, maybe let's talk about the whole game before like the
Yeah, what's your overarching strategy going into the game?
Yeah, so-
it's corner deployment and 5 objectives.
So the play against Eldar is because there is Night Spinner, you cannot deploy a lot on the board. So you have to basically deploy only stuff that either doesn't care about Night Spinner or can accept to die. Like for example, I can put 3 Nurgling if he put like probably 2 Night Spinner to kill the 3 Nurgling and I take that deal all the time, so he's never gonna do that. Same thing with the cultists. I can deploy them, make sure the last cultist is in the middle of nowhere. So the last one I remove, there is no incarn play. So the annoying part is more about the Rhino because 2 or 3 Night Spinner can actually kill a Rhino, and sometimes even 2 Night Spinner can kill a Rhino. So that part is annoying. So, but you have to deal with it. So you have to put the Rhino in kind of an aggressive spot, not in the open, but like still in a way that they doesn't die to like if you die, you're not too far away from the action. And then the last piece you deployed are the undivided force, the Nurgle Fortune to have some shooting on the board to scare the Eldar, and then the lone operative, the Blue Scribe. All the rest basically go in deep strike, like the Warp Talon, Silesk, the Oblitz, the Undivided, Fortune, all of that in deep strike. And I feel all of that is kind of important in deep strike actually, because like if you deploy the Warp Talon, even though if you go first, you have some early pressure. They just like one Night Spinner can like kill 3, and then they are basically not functioning. So like all of that go in deep strike, and you basically hope to either go first or not lose on turn 1 to be able to play with your deep strike. Because if you go first, it's okay, you survive. Now you get to play your game. Because after it's turn 2, where you can actually out tricks. I mean, you can play versus the Eldar with the same weapon if you go on the second turn, because you can use your deep strike tool to force a bad phantasm or to force phantasm to basically get to reach some target that is important. But if on turn 1 you deployed badly or made one mistake, if you go second, you could actually lose the game on turn 1 with like a autark play or stuff like that.
Yep.
So much of this in every game. So I was I was watching the games after the round 6. I was watching that in the venue, and then I had to dip home. But I was absolutely glued to the stream, and I don't know if you guys have given a shout out yet, but Joe from War Games Live was absolutely killing it the whole weekend. The best coverage we've ever had in the UK for sure. And I came straight home, put it on the big screen, and I was glued. We're all chatting on the team chat. And, man, these games, I got to say, these games at LGT was the most exciting 40K I've ever watched in my life, hands down. But one of the things that seems to always pop up, just like you talked about, Liam, is that the in-calm plays turn 1 are just sometimes detrimental to your opponent. So I guess one of the big questions is it correct to teleport the in-calm turn 1? And I guess let's get Liam and Vic in there, because it's just everything seems to warp around that unit to some degree, doesn't it?
Let me defend myself for my Yin Khan play on this game, because Liam's macro strategy is incredible. You know, you mentioned earlier like his micro is good, but actually I don't think that's the defining part of the way that Liam kind of wins these games. He sees an overall strategy immediately at the start of the game and he simplifies it. So his simple strategy in this game was so perfect all the way through, and he deployed in such a perfect way. Obviously, the mission favors here. You have ruins right on the edge of a deployment zone where you're very close to your opponent's deployment zone. So the 2 rhinos cover a huge amount of area of the board in this situation. But then his macro strategy to understand how he was going to continue to apply pressure was really, really great here. So he got his first turn, applied a little bit of pressure with an approach turn where he did not overextend because all of his pressure was going to be applied on his drop turn. So initial strategy, perfect. Now, my counter reaction is I need to be able to dig out an area of the board where I have some momentum or an advantage. If he deep strikes into the area of the board I'm attacking, I continue to push the advantage. And if he deep strikes on the other side of the board, maybe I can stay away from him and kind of kite him around the board. That was my theory. In order for that to work, I need the Yin Khan to be applying damage in a position where I'm not giving him too much damage into me. So I put -1 to wound on my Yin Khan, teleported him over to that side after killing the blue, like a random character, so the blue scribes. Charged into a Forge Fiend, killed a Forge Fiend, killed a Rhino with some Chosen, and then Liam had the decision whether to go kind of deep in his deployment zone or kind of run at me with the Chosen. So he deployed forward. He made that decision to go a bit more aggressive. I thought in this position, okay, cool, my Wraith Guard can Phantasm out of range, his Forge Fiend's not going to do anything. But I made a mistake, a key critical mistake with the Yin Khan, which was to teleport the Yin Khan a second time after killing the Forge Fiend. And I thought, okay, let's go as far away from my Wraith Guard as possible so that if his Chosen want to charge one, it'll be too far for him to charge either. I was already in the right position for that anyway. And I didn't have to do this play. And what this play let Liam do was bring his Forge Fiend in with line of sight to both the Yin Khan and to the Wraith Guard, which meant that if I Phantasm the Wraith Guard out of the way, he gets free damage into the Yin Khan. And the Yin Khan can actually just die in a single shooting phase. The Yin Khan's a powerful tool in this matchup because he can, if he's positioned correctly, he can make it so that you don't want to kill the Yin Khan. You don't want to kill anything else to prevent the Yin Khan from teleporting to a safer position. Was my theory. So if the Yin Khan had stayed in that nicely hidden position I had her in at the start of the fight phase, Liam would have had to make a choice between going for the Yin Khan or the Wraith Guard, which I think would have really helped because what ended up happening was I lost all momentum as the Yin Khan just died too easily in the shooting phase of Liam's turn. I don't know if you agree with that, Liam, that take there.
So indeed, like the fact you put the Incarn in that the deep strike after the Forge Fiend was a mistake because mainly the Forge Fiend could see the Incarn indeed and the Wraith Guard, but more importantly, I think there were another angle where I could have done that, but more importantly, you couldn't Phantasm away from my Chosen while hiding from the Forge Fiend. So that meant that I could have basically charged. So you Phantasm the Wraith Guard to hide from the Forge Fiend, but you were closer to the 10-man Chosen blob that could have basically killed you. But I made a little mistake there by mispositioning the Lord to go far away instead of like going directly closer to the Wraith Guard, and then like he couldn't reach in the end.
But, yeah, if you put the Chaos Lord in the middle of that unit, there was no escape for me, was there?
Yeah, I think I would say like the critic. I think like you were early on talking about the turn 1 Incarn play, and I would say that in this case that was a mistake. I would say. I think. I mean, overall, I would say maybe because like the problem. My point of view on the matchup is basically that the Eldar, if I didn't win before turn 3, I lose the game against Eldar. I need to win the game on turn 2 or 3 to be able to beat the Eldar, I feel. If after all my deep strike had come down, I didn't win, it's gonna be a lose game because the Eldar has just better secondary and better primary presence than me overall.
Interesting.
If I could go back in time and replay this game, I probably still would have gone for the Incarn play on turn 1. Maybe been a slightly more passive with my Wraith Guard. I don't think the Wraith Guard needed to be in range of the Forge Fiend. No,
because
go more aggressive.
No. But if you only send the Incarn, I can just kill the Incarn for like I don't know. I mean,
true.
Like it's in it because I did go first. You had to screen me, I guess. So that makes your life a lot harder, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I had to use resources. I could have also maybe move blocked your second Rhino as well to stop those chosen running so deep into the middle of the board. I gave you way too many easy charges down the middle of the board, so I lost really multiple points of my positioning
Yeah.
on my turn one, where I just ended up losing so many resources, so much momentum for actually pretty little gain.
And you give basically
Uh,
maybe you should have just give up
Homers,
on Homer, maybe,
yeah, correct.
because like
Yeah,
you basically give me a target for all my chosen because like I was there. No, I gained like 10 inches with all my chosen for free. So let's just
yeah,
do that. Yeah.
yep. Yeah, absolutely. So I ended up being under so much pressure on turn two, and it's just a symptom of not really kind of understanding the flow of how this game would go if your opponent is extremely aggressive, which is something usually I do pretty well, like absorbing pressure and kind of countering from that. But in this case, things just didn't go my way. On top of me making mistakes, which just made it harder for me, and Liam not actually making any mistakes because that's Liam.
I mean, I did one.
I was I was going to say, Liam, in that game actually, you deep strike both your obliterators at the top
Yeah.
and side of the board. I was wondering if you deep strike one in the middle of the board.
Yeah, that was.
And then I
That was
was
nice.
actually going to say you it seemed like a lot of players when I watch CSM games like against Eldar as well is that they deep strike the obliterators and shoot them, but then they could have also have done that plus lined up just a random 9-inch charge somewhere because once you get night spinner, the obliterators almost do functionally nothing. But if you hit a 9-inch charge into almost anything, it just feels like better than I don't know getting night spinner. Depends what your thoughts on that, Liam. I've just seen he's gone dot dot dot. We've dropped.
Yeah, Liam did actually do that. Like every single unit he deep struck, he set up a 9-inch charge.
Right.
So he had this. I put this one unit of warp spiders in the middle of the board to do deploy teleport homers, and he deep struck his entire army with a 9-inch charge to that, so that one of them will hit, and he will get momentum because of
Yeah.
it. So fair play to Liam. He's really good at playing the units out of deeps. The melee charges, he'll just set up like 9-inch charges, and then he'll hit 3 of them.
Hey, every shot that you don't take, you miss, right?
Exactly, and that's a big part of how he applies pressure.
Well,
You back, Liam?
hello, hello.
He's back.
I did crash. I think.
I hear your
Roger,
beautiful
Roger.
voice.
Should we go on to your next round, Liam?
It's all Eldar. Please say that your next. So Liam's next round was against Nassim, who was playing Eldars. But please say that he was worse than me.
So this game wasn't on stream, and I was asking Joe so much to get an update. We were all spamming to get an update, but there was some loud noise at some part of the evening. So do you want to run us through this? But I guess Nassim's list is a 20 Wraithguard versus 10, 1 Night Spinner versus 3. So roughly speaking, you kind of trade. And there's some Swooping Hawks instead of Warp Spiders, but roughly speaking, you kind of trade. You downgrade Warp Spiders to Swooping Hawks, and then you take, instead of 2 Night Spinners, you get 20 more Wraithguard.
10 more.
Liam, 10 more Wraithguard, sorry, yeah. Liam, does that, I feel like almost, and it's probably over-exaggerating, but that almost feels like such a different list that you're playing against when it's 20 Wraithguard, because with 10 Wraithguard, you've got a Phantasm Magnet where you can just Phantasm that unit constantly. Go on.
No. So there's two things with 20 race guards. There's only one race guard, right? Is that you first there is a positive and a negative, is that you cannot phantasm both. So like that's always something that's cool because that means he cannot like go aggressively and with both, so he can only use like one at a time really, because if he don't, I will just like lined up on both and like get to shoot once. But on the opposite, if I kill only one, it's probably maybe not enough if I only kill one. So like it really depends on all of those stuff.
Do you think for CSM it's easier playing against the 20 or the 10 Wraithguard?
I would say it's easiest to play against 20. Because actually I don't think against CSM the Wraith Guard are that impactful. Like, don't get me wrong, they are really good. They will hold a part of the table. But if you can reach the rest of the army, it's fine. They're gonna exist somewhere. They're gonna score a lot of points, but you can try to outscore them. So they are not the real problem.
So walk us through this game. What kind of mission were you playing? You're playing Angular deployment, I guess, right?
Yes, we are playing the Angular deployment. I forgot the name.
It's Purge the Foe and Crucible of
Yeah,
Battle.
Crucible. Yeah, we were playing Purge the Foe and Crucible of Battle. So the mission is basically the whole ITC, so kill one, kill more, hold one, hold more. So that mission gives a kind of a big advantage going second, especially knowing that Nassim is playing in that game fixed and is playing basically Homer and the enemy line. So if he need to go turn one to do that, he will give me a unit. So if I go second in that game, I get I get a little bit of bonus for going second there, which help a lot in the matchup where I want to go first, basically, to have my deep strike on turn two. So it's end up what's happening. So he go first, and I deployed basically on that mission on that table. I can deploy basically 4 inches deep in my deployment zone to make sure there is no one shot from the Otar, because he can never come can come 20 inches, grenade strat and fusion me to death. He can never do that because he's aware of the grenade strat and he will never be in half range. So I know so he will probably not do that. So I know I'm probably not losing my Rhino turn one because he only have one Night Spinner, which will not kill my Rhino. So I hope if he does. And basically, because he has only one Night Spinner, I can deploy the Warp Talon, which make a huge difference because I have an early push on that. So even if he move at me, I gain like a momentum turn by sending the Warp Talon. In the end, it's what happened. He go first, send the Hawks in my DZ to do that, and then move the Wraith Guard in the middle. So me, I get to walk the Warp Talon behind wall in the middle too, because I know what's happening is basically he's gonna Phantasm in front to basically score all more on his turn, and there is nothing I can really do because either I lined up the Force Fiend to do that, because my Force Fiend, you need to figure it out, is on the back of the board to be on the UKTC board to be able to walk 8 and see the middle line. But if I do that, and he did go first, basically there is the other 10 race guard that went on his back objective in the no man's land behind the terrain. I mean, obviously, if you don't know the map, it doesn't mean a lot to you, but like, I guess you see what I mean. They walk the 10 race guard in that ring, and if I walk the Force Fiend in front, he doesn't, like, Nurgle does nothing because he just walk within 12 and kill me. So I basically decide to be really defensive with the Force Fiend and let him having the 12 on primary. But that means I can charge him with the Warp Talon in the middle and maybe do a lot of damage. Because like in melee, I won't do much because I will maybe kill a guy or do some wound, because with -1 to wound, I will wound on 6. But the trick is he will, what he's gonna do after that is he's gonna want to fall back and shoot. And by falling back, he will have to roll a Desperate Breakout. And like, if, he roll a bad Desperate Breakout, I can kill like half of the pack or something for nothing.
Yes.
So like, I'm taking that gamble because it's like only a 100-point unit. And so I'm doing that. But what happened is then he lose like 2 Wraith Guard, which was okay. It was like average, a little bit less than average, but whatever. And it allowed him to walk within 12 of my Rhino and basically kill my Rhino, deep strike the Incarn, and go kill a Lord. But at that point, it's okay because it's turn 2. And after turn 2, I can react really well to the Incarn. So what happened is that now he has the Incarn in my line, and I have the Blue Scribe, the 2 Force Fiend that can shoot him. I have a Chaos Lord with a squad next to him ready to charge. And if not, I'm ready to charge a Wraith Guard in the middle. So I string between the two to have option. And then I have from my Rhino with the 10 chosen were on top of my deployment, and disembark with the chosen, roll a 6 on the advance. So I'm now basically within 1.1 of the middle Wraith Guard. So even if he phantasm away, it's still a 7 and charge. And then I have the Warp Talon on the other side, cover it. So if he phantasm away from the chosen, the other unit of Warp Talon have an easy charge. as well. So like he decided in the end to not phantom the middle pack, but I think he phantomed his autark that is like in the middle in my DZ to do Homer, and me I basically deep strike my my second Force Fiend, and that's it. Keep Silesk and the Oblate in deep strike. And what happened is that the blue scribe that are next the incarn roll lucky and roll a 6 and a 5, which means like
Oh, beautiful.
the incarn take 5 mortal wound in the movement phase. And then
Yeah.
that means that basically the undivided, and after that the undivided Force Fiend roll a little bit lucky that he should and finish the incarn straight up.
Oh my god.
And then I have the second Force Fiend that had like a line on the Night Spinner or the incarn, and that was like ready to shoot the incarn because like it was more important. But then he can shoot the Night Spinner, and I decided to go for it and like roll lucky again and kill the Night Spinner. At that point, it's basically GG because I'm gonna fuck the Race Guard in the middle because there is 15 Chosen and 10 War Talon ready to charge them. So like they are dead. And he lost 2 units of Oaks to do action and screening, and that I'm just killing with like random combi bolter because I have a lot of combi weapons in the list, so it's kind of easy. So at the end of my turn 2, he basically is left. He only have like the Autark and Fuegan and 10 Wraith Guard on one objective, and he doesn't even hold his own objective anymore. So like
Nice.
So that was kind of like the end of the game after that.
Nice.
It begs the question as to whether or not you should go behind enemy lines, deploy teleport homers in that mission, right?
I think he should have go assassination actually.
Maybe even tactical. Gamble.
Liam, do you think so? Me and Nassim, one overlapping thing is that we were both kind of fairly aggressive with the Yin-Khan. I guess do you think that's an underlying thing that we should not be doing? We should be holding the Yin-Khan as a counterpiece.
So I think, like I say, against Eldar, I need to win the game before turn 3. And to win the game, I need to have killed the Incarn. So if the Incarn is still alive, and especially if he's like full wound on turn 3 and more, it's really, really bad.
Yeah, so play the game like a little bit slower, but using other pieces other than the Yin-Khan.
Yes.
Got it.
I think a lot of people are getting a lot better at trapping the Incarn as well, right?
Yeah.
People are having grenades on hand. They got tank shock on hand, which is going to deal like 5 to 6 maybe.
Everybody's finding mortal wounds in their list to do that. So
yeah, that was just the common thing I saw between all of those games played. Was I guess it's different though because Brian obviously bit Saka really quickly with teleport the Incarn turn 1, so. It's so easy to pull that trigger, though, isn't it? Like, you just like,
let's go for it. Let's go.
Boom. Yeah. Really tough one. It's I guess it's really difficult to understand because if you play all your practice games where you do teleport early, then maybe you don't get to see the opportunities where how the game would play out otherwise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know, man. I did about 50-50. I'm as likely to hold on to my Yin-Khan as I am to throw her in. To be honest. Yeah. But this was a game where I decided, okay, look, this is an option here. Let's go for it. Let's buy myself a turn because I've gone second, and it didn't work out. And in hindsight, yeah, Liam, you should have told me to do something different.
Sorry, mate.
Because I think once the Yin-Khan drops, it simplifies your opponent's gameplay by a large margin, doesn't it?
When I kill the spider and the Incarn, Eldar are suddenly really slow, which is weird.
Yeah, interesting. Fair enough. And I mean, I found this really fascinating. I lost it a turn more than Nassim, so I'll take that as a victory. And you went into the finals of LGT, and can you believe you hit Eldar again?
More especially, I hit my Team Belgium teammates from this year, which was also a fun anecdote, I guess, a fun story.
And were there any differences in this one compared to the previous two, or was it a very similar game?
So this one, were actually really different, I felt, because
the deployment is a hammer and anvil for those listening as well. Yeah.
So
why did I get the one where we were closest? What the hell?
Basically, on the 2 first mission, I went tactical because I felt I could do most of it, and it made me unpredictable. So you couldn't like count the points and like we see, oh, I'm gonna win by like 2 points if I do that, which like would have been really scary, especially like against Jovic, because I know like if I give you the opportunity to do that, I think I'm gonna lose anyway. So by taking tactical, it was CP and being unpredictable,
Unpredictable, yes.
exactly. But against that on that deployment, it's really bad to take secondary tactical. I felt because like a lot are kind of not easy to do, and because like all the objectives are in the middle, I cannot really go like do cleanse with the random stuff without giving it for free. So I decided to like play the fixed game. So that was one point that changed. The second one is like I made a mistake because I were not tactical. I need to have my CP and not use it. I need to use it carefully. And like he shoot. So basically, what happened is he go first, shoot with a night spinner in a rhino. I obviously don't Nurgle strat, and then decide to shoot with the second one. And then there I think for a second, and I'm there. I'm
So what else does he have to shoot your rhino if you don't Nurgle straight?
So he made a mistake. He first shot with the spider to kill the Nurgling to prevent me from doing Homer turn 1, which was an okay plan, but actually a little bit slow, I felt, if you want to send the Incarn. But I guess he decided to send the Incarn only after that. So I think he should have started with the Night Spinner, then do the spider, obviously. That would have been way better. But he made a mistake there. So that was his first mistake. He made a second one, but I will come to that in my my turn, I guess. So what happened is that the second Night Spinner, in the end, I chose to not Nurgle strat, to have option during my phase, my turn to do more stuff with CP. And then what happened is that the second Night Spinner killed the Rhino, which like with the dice is not that unlikely actually, but I mean I decide to not spend it, the CP. So he killed the Rhino. Then I made a little mistake, is that I put both of the Lord on the same side, and he can basically precision both of the Lord.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
So what happened? He go for it, go in it, split 2 and 3, and kill both, which were
Oh my god, that's so lucky.
Brutal.
nuts. I mean, one with the fate dice and with the reroll, the other one like he CP reroll the damage and roll enough. Like
Still quite a few things to get through, especially on the guy who's only taking 2 attacks. But
Yeah.
fair play to him, he went for it.
yeah, I mean that was annoying. So in my turn 1, I lose a Rhino, 2 Chaos Lord, and like both of the Chosen Squad are 3 men only now, and it's still my turn 1. So basically that's a big problem, because like if I don't do something, I'm gonna lose because he's gonna screen me with the Warp Spider and everything. And that's where he did his second mistake, is that he went a little bit too far away with his spider, because he said to me he wanted to activate them aggressively the turn after it. But it meant that basically I basically went for the spider, and basically he has one autark on an objective in the middle. That is like a 5 and charge from basically I have a Rhino on the left flank with the 10-man Chosen Squad, and I decide to use it turn 1 to basically, I see there is an autark on an objective that I can really easily circle to make sure I cannot base. So the rest of my unit then is free. And I see there is like a spider unit like 4 inches behind that one. So I'm there, okay, I'm gonna slide shot and get the spider unit. And more than that, I'm gonna scare the race guard, because he's gonna phantasm away from me to not get charged. So I'm gonna win a little bit of tempo there, which is big. And then the other part of the plan is to kill the Incarn, but not really try to kill it, but more to like make sure that I put him on like 1 or 2 wounds, but also like having like on average like enough stuff to kill it, but like just on average, not like I didn't have the option to put more to make sure I kill him. So basically what I had on him, it was like a Rhino, the Blue Scribe, a 7-man Cultist, a 3-man Chosen in shooting and in melee, and a second 3-man Chosen, ready to charge either Spider or the Incarn with a long charge. And so then I start, I move the and a force field, and a force field, and a force field. Then I start, move the blue scribe, and roll a 1. I'm there, in the end of the
It's gonna be close.
that's gonna be annoying. But then like an extra combi bolter with like I think I had basically 10 combi bolter shot in the income. And I do 2 mortal wound with the 10 shot, which thing it's closer to 1 normally. So that give me a little bit more of hope. The grenade I think the grenade do like maybe 4 mortal wound also instead of 3, which like, bring back. Like the force fiend do like his 4 wound. So in the end of my shooting phase, the Incarn is on 2 wood. And there is a Rhino ready to charge it. I'm there, okay. I had 2 CP. First, I have first the use 1 CP on the grenade strat, and now I know I can tank shock with the Rhino. And average is 2 mortal wounds, so I'm there, okay. So I'm doing my charge. So I'm starting with the Chosen strat. And there, the 10-man Chosen on the Autark to my play to slingshot. But what happened is I roll 11. So like,
Oh, okay.
there, that opened a lot of options.
That is a super slingshot.
Yeah, because now I can actually reach the Wraith Guard with my Chaos Sword, and I can reach the second unit of Warp Spider that were on that side. So with that charge, basically, I managed to hit the Autark, the two Warp Spider unit, and my Chaos Lord into the Wraith Guard. So I'm there. That's really cool.
I'm sure Hugo didn't think that.
Then there were the third squad of Warp Spider really close in my line that I charged with three Chosen to kill them. And then now it's time to charge the Incarn. So I first charge a Rhino. And I roll my Shock Tongue directly, because it's the timing, right? And I roll no Mortal Wound on 6 dice. I'm there. Okay, that's not gonna be cool. And now the problem is I have to go for it, because if I don't, he's just gonna kill the Rhino for free. So may as well tag him and make him annoyed. So I charge with everything after that. So the cultists, so I charge with the cultists, the 3 Chosen, the Blue Scribe, and the Rhino. And I start to roll my random attack before keeping like my 3-man Chosen that is the more likely to kill it for the last. I don't have CP, I don't have anything, so I'm just like rolling it with dice, and I'm taking like lethal hit on everything. What happened is that the Rhino, that hero, he felt the Shark Tank, but he do 1 wound to the Incarn.
It's all part of the
He
plan.
failed his 2 upsets, so now he's on 1 wound.
Yes.
So I'm like, okay, the 3 Chosen can make it. They can do it. So they are like, basically what I'm going lethal hit. So like, I'm going lethal hit and then I'm wounding on 6. So like, I just need to roll 6, like, correct. So I roll the 12 attack because Power Fist or Accuracy doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I roll 2 6 on the hit and then 1 6 on the wound. So like I'm there, 3 wound. That's close, but that's like that can make it. Like it can obviously be annoying. He doesn't have a CP, but like he succeed the 2 first and Fate dies the last one. But luckily he failed the first one, so the Incarn is dead, and
let's go.
That's big.
Yeah.
So I remember watching that.
We were all watching. We were all cheering at this moment.
I was cheering the moment he made that 11-inch charge. I was like, "Holy baby, back in the game!" That was a super sick game. And then your turn 2, you had a bunch of good angles with your obliterators and your forge fiends as well, right?
So what happened on my turn 2 is that on this mission it's really hard to screen his deployment zone. So he couldn't really screen he basically, to screen his deployment zone, he had to advance with Night Spinner, which he decided against because like he wanted to obviously shoot with them. So he basically let the two oblit to go in his deployment zone to basically shoot a Night Spinner within half range. But then I decide to not bring the undivided force fiend to have more pressure on turn 3. So what happened is that I bring the 4 oblit, kill a bunch of random character and stuff, but doesn't touch the Wraith Guard, and kill. And the 2 oblit within range of the Night Spinner sadly put the Night Spinner on 6 wound. doesn't kill it. But then luckily for me, I succeed the 9-end charge and kill it in melee.
Nice.
So like a lot of back and forth. And then from that, it's basically a 10-man race guard versus my army.
Yeah.
And then I just play the mission and win by a couple of points.
Yeah, I think sandbagging the undivided Forge Fiend for another turn was a brilliant play. It's so easy just to drop all your reserves in one turn there. Even if you just shoot something incidental, you're like, oh, okay, I'll go for it to get more pressure. But actually, you get more pressure by taxing the footprint, and you can come in on their deployment zone, which basically on that deployment with Wraithguard means you're going to be shot by one of the Forge Fiends, basically, doesn't it? So I thought it was a brilliant play.
There was a point where the Eldar player was just completely surrounded. It was
Yes.
so glorious to see. And this is what I think a big advantage is. You know the view we have on War Games Live, like that top-down view? I think Liam has the same view. Because he towers over normal human beings. He has the TTS view. That's why TTS is so impactful for Liam.
That's his advantage.
What was the line I read? They nerf towering, but they can't nerf Liam VSL.
Oh dear, absolutely smashing. And how good is it that you played Vic, you played Nassim, and then you played Hugo, basically all your friends and all your teammates in the top 8, right?
That was funny. Like it was so chill. Like we had all the teammate and the friend around the table in the final.
Cheering.
Yeah. Like we couldn't talk in French because it was the final. We needed to talk in English, which was like weird in a way because we used to play like at least once every 2 weeks or so in French, and we had to play in English. That was weird, but
you know, I can't think of someone better to win LGT, Liam. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations, you and previous year Alexandra Sacco winning the LGT. You guys have both come and absolutely smashed it. So mad props to you.
thank you.
100%. 100%. What's on the cards for you next, Liam?
So I have 2 team events because like my main thing is team event. I'm not like you say at the start that I was like a little bit a secret, but it's mainly because I don't play a lot of single overall. I basically only play teams most of the time. So I'm gonna have a team event in Poland end of this month and a team event in Croatia the week before Atlanta, and then I will go to Atlanta, obviously. So that will be both cool. So like I'm waiting for that. It's gonna be cool.
And then Atlanta for the World Champs as well, right?
Yes.
Nice.
You're at Atlanta as well, Dave?
Yep. I might have to upgrade from just playing the regular human beings. I'm not gonna lie.
Get some aliens in there, Dave.
Get some aliens. I need some alien technology.
That's it, mate. So is that the only one you've got lined up, Dave? Atlanta?
I've got the event in Cardiff as well, the 4-man team event there. So I'll be going with Boris, Brian, and Chris as well. So I'm enjoying the teams as well. So that'll be fun. Might play some alien tech there as well. So
I am on the non-Atlanta train. I'm actually going to be training around the country and playing a few small GTs. I've got Hellstorm, Battlefield Birmingham, and then Coventry Super Major as well. So I'm going to be going deep on the singles for a little bit and trying out a few different things. I've got my eyes on Votan. I've got my eyes on CSM, and I've got obviously the Eldar always to fall back on. So
nice.
Exciting times.
That was it. We'll wrap it up there, close to the hour mark. This has been episode 37. Liam, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. We will get you on more often, I think. I hope you've had a good time. And most elated congratulations. I was fist pumping. Let's fucking go when you won that game, as everyone can admit to in my house. So I was absolutely chuffy, man.
Thanks for me coming in. It was cool for the invite. It's always a
Cheers,
pleasure.
Liam. You were awesome, and to all of the listeners, see you by the fireside next time.
Thank you for listening to the 40K Fireside podcast. Vic and I hope you've enjoyed listening, and we greatly appreciate any feedback that you can provide after the show.